This is going to take a few minutes. This is an install for 5 Raxus Sabers. I'm doing them in batches of 5, as many of you know by now, because I've been kind of beating it to death on my Facebook page. I have a total of actually 19 to do, so I'm doing them in batches of 5, and then I'll do the remaining whatever 4, at the very end. But I got this first 5 done, all weathered and heat stained, all of them, all installed. So I wanted to make this demo video. Although we will cover 5 Sabers, I'm going to talk to you guys individually about your Sabers, turn them all on so that you can all see that they work. One thing about these guys that I'm not going to send them out tomorrow. I ordered a screw from McMaster Car for a blade retention. These are pretty tight blade sockets. I won't need them to do a demo and put a blade in here. It takes a 7/8 inch blade, by the way. But what I had originally intended when I designed this was for this guy right here to be the blade retention, but it was manufactured to sit flush with the emitter. All right, so what I did was I ordered an M3 by 10 millimeter screw, like a button head screw, to replace that front screw right there in the bunny ears. So we're going to take that out, put that 10 millimeter in. As a matter of fact, with these 5, I'm going to have them all boxed up, but before I ship them out, I'm going to put a M3 by 10 screw in each of your guys' boxes, and that will be for your blade retention. All right. Other than that, there is a few things going on with these guys. We're going to go in total random. I have them just sitting on my desk in random order, so I'll pick up the first one. There are 2 that I can tell whose they are right away. Kenan's is this guy right here, and this has my own chassis in it, but it did not have the chamber fins from Carlos over at the taco shop. So I recognize this one. We'll go over that one after this one. And then I recognize the one that belongs to Shark in a Jar, because he is the only one that had me leave his chassis and his chamber fins clean. So those 2 are easy to distinguish. The other 3, however, I'll show you how I tell whose is whose here in a second. All right. But I weathered each of them. Now, because I hand weathered them, they all are going to be a little bit different, but the same theme, right? They're weathered by the same person, me, right? Same technique. So they'll all look very similar as the pictures that I've shown, but they will have just a few differences, right? So on all of them, I went through on the emitter. I put a little bit of battle damage. So you can see I didn't go too crazy though. Weathered it up. Heat stained all 6 of the button head screws for the shroud on all of them. Heat stained your steel piece right here, your steel ring on your emitter. These rods right here are titanium, so I went ahead and I heat stained the titanium. If you look inside of the crystal chamber on all of them, you'll see the holder for the crystal is titanium, as well as the pin and the holder for the pin. Now the holder for the pin actually holds your Neopixel connector as well. These do have a mix of the V4 CC Sabers lit Neopixels, and then also I used some Shadow Foil Props Neopixels as well. All right, they're in no particular order. All right, but I went ahead and I heat stained the insides of those as well. Sorry, let me turn my phone off here. There we go. So heat stained all that. And then when it came down to here, these pieces are separate, but they are glued on, all except for one. These are steel, so I heat stain those as well. You do on all of them have one that's on a magnet. Now, if you're holding this guy and the crystal chamber is facing you, it's going to be the panel on your right-hand side, right? You should be able to either take it off completely, or something I like to do is I'll just slide it down, because it's on there with magnets. All right, so if I were to take this off, I could take it off very easily. You'll see 6 magnets on that handle, and that is obviously for a crystal reveal. So on these taco shop chassis, Carlos did an amazing job. I told him everything I wanted to cram in here. I wasn't sure if it was going to be possible, and he didn't even blink an eye. He's like, "No worries, man, I got you," and he did. So that is a crystal chamber in there. It's got a rotating plasma gate, and it does some things. So that's an easy way to have a reveal without actually taking off the handle. But when you don't want that, you just slide that back on and slide it into place. those 6 magnets hold that steel panel very well. All right, and then I went over here. I had a choice here because there was 2 slots on this handle to put this guy that has a slot in it. I could go over here. If I went on the other side of the panel where it slid down, you could slide it down and see some of your OLED. I didn't really care for that. I put it here because even here you're going to get a little bit of shine through from that crystal chamber, so you get some visual effects there. So that's what I did, consistent across the board. All right. Each of these have a real quartz crystal in them. This is a particular type of 2-pointed quartz crystal that I buy off of Etsy. It's actually what I designed this holder for. So they fit in here perfectly. They're locked in and they're good to go. These are 2-button setups. So you'll notice the brass hat, or the brass tactiles here, the brass hat tactiles. If I turn it like this, you'll notice they don't sit up very high at all. I did that on purpose. I wanted a very low profile switch that was easy to press with your finger, but it wouldn't get in the way of anything, right? These switches aren't going to catch. I really enjoy a low profile tactile switch like that. As a matter of fact, where I got this idea from was originally when I first came in the hobby. I saw Jeremy Jackson over at Cloud City Sabers. He had a full Cloud City Sabers SK install kit you could buy, and on his control box he had some low pro tactile switches as well. So that's something that I wanted to incorporate there, kind of an ode to that old Starkiller kit. This kit in general is made to look like almost like a 2.0 kit. There are some differences. For anyone who wanted a Starkiller 2.0 but didn't have the time or necessarily the skill to put in to chop up a 2.0 kit, because those things are a ton of work. So this was meant to be that. You only have 2 sets or 1 set of pins here, not on the other side, because that's how Starkiller Saber is. All right. How to get to your chassis. Well, actually, before we talk about that, I put the smoky lens here and here on all of them. If you don't like that, your actual kit you'll find in your box, they come with red lenses and they come with clear lenses. Personally, my favorite are the smoky ones, so that's what I put in here. If you don't like those, you can twist those out and you can twist the red ones with the clear ones in. All right, so that's what I did there as well. Now to get to your chassis, you just take it, unscrew the handle. This chassis is very tight in the handle. In fact, on sharkening jars here, this guy right here, I actually had to open up the handle a little bit on my lathe. I opened it up 7th thou, or yeah, 7th thou I did, so a total of 14th thou, to get that thing to fit. And I still had to do modifications on all of these chassis. I think there was a little something that happened with the battery cover print. So we'll go ahead and we'll take this off. On every one of these battery covers, what I had to do is actually take it off, because the handle would not fit when these were on. I had to take it down to my sander, and I had to sand quite a bit off both sides of the flanges. I know my camera is having a little bit of a hard time focusing. There we go. So I had to sand all that down, and I had to sand that down. I actually had to take off quite a bit of material. For the guys that had me weather your chassis, it's not going to be that big of a deal. You probably wouldn't have even noticed. On sharkening jars where I did not weather it, and I'll show that here in a second, I tried my best after I was done hogging off that material to go back and buff it and polish it up to make it at least look like I didn't go to town with it on a sander. All right, so that's what I did there on all of them. This is the battery cover, obviously. Now, how I know this belongs to Jorge, because I wrote Jorge on the battery. All right, that's something that I did with every one of these, because before these Sabers came in the mail, I got the chassis in place. This has been like a 6-month project. All right, so really, I just want to say I appreciate everyone's patience, but this has been a 6-month project. I've got all of these chassis in the mail beforehand, weathered them up, installed them as best as I could, right? And then I just needed to keep track of whose was whose, because they're all the same. So I wrote Jorge on this one, and subsequently whoever's name on their batteries. I didn't want to write on your Saber. I just wrote on your battery. Now that battery is an 18350 keep power. It's a protected cell. It is in there super tight. I'm leaving it in the Saber, sending it with the Saber. you will probably want to charge it pretty quick. I'll show you the battery meter on all these guys, but they were fully charged when I first bought them. And then I have been testing these guys over and over and over again over the last couple months to make sure that everything was perfect by the time I ship these out, right? So I probably use about half the battery life. On top of that, there's a lot of shit, excuse me, there's a lot of stuff going on in the Saber that battery charges. Each sound font has 4 blade styles. Every one of these Sabers has one sound font, and that's mine. I'm sending it out with my own font. It's a font that Jesse over at Kyberphonic made me. All with the exception of Kenan's, I put his Starkiller font on there. All right, so all that being said, this is your chassis. I know you've seen pictures of it because I've reached out to everyone and showed you that it was done before, but I'm showing it to you again. You have a red crystal in there. This gate does not open, but this plasma gate up top here will spin when the Saber's on. You have an empty space right here, but it does have an LED pointing down, so you get a little visual effect here. When you turn it around, this is your board cover. So you have an OLED screen right here. When we open up this board cover, I wanted to give you some shine through in these cutouts, so you'll please excuse the 3-pixel LED strip that I kind of wired to the top of the board there, but that was the only way I could get some shine through on this, and you'll never take this off unless you want to make changes to the board. So that's how you access your Proffies board. You can get to your SD card and your micro USB from there. You never have to take it off. In fact, the board is glued down to the shelf because there are a ton of wires underneath these boards. I mean, barely got it to fit. I mean, by the 10th one or so, I got it down to a fine art, but there's a ton. All right, so absolutely could not get away with not gluing that down. But you do have access to everything. You will need a 90-degree data cable. If you need a link to that, let me know. I'm happy to send you a link. And then lastly, there is a 28mm Smuggler's Outpost speaker in all of these guys. Now, most of them have Smuggler's Outpost Elite speakers, except for Kenan's. It has a Smuggler's Outpost Dark Side because I was just giving him a bassy speaker for a bassy font guy. All right. So with the 4 blade styles, I'll show you my paper. This is how I wired them all. So I'll just show this in case you ever want to make changes. You can pause this video and you can see what I did there, right? So as you can see, like some of these guys are sharing the same LED pads. So the main blade and the main crystal chamber sharing the same LED pads, but all on different datas, right? And then you've got LED 4 for the motor. All right, so that's what I did there. But also there's a copy of the config file on the SD card on all of them. All right, it's just named Raxus. So coming over here, you have a kill switch. So if we were to flip this switch, every one of them have my own boot up OLED screen that says Solo Sabers, and then it actually has a Starkiller that's igniting, which is pretty cool. This is something that Brian Connor, No Sloppy, made me. So it's very cool. All of them have it. And then here's your battery meter. So your battery is over halfway charged. You've got a blinking crystal here, blinking crystal down here. Power is up front. Now when you hit power, that is when your motor starts spinning. This will pulse, but then this red crystal over here will go to solid. Sorry for the focus issues. Come on, guy. There we go. So you'll have that spinning crystal chamber, a solid red crystal. You get that broken circuitry effect down here that I like to put in the Fallen Order Sabers that I do. And then, of course, you'll get this over here. Now, this will mimic your blade. So you have a red unstable blade. So you'll have a red unstable top of the board. All right? And then you've got twist off. When you go to put this handle on, take your time. Very tight. You have 2 chassis retention screws. You've got one. There's one here, and there's one 180 degrees from that. I wanted 2 chassis retention screws on this Saber kit so that it was evenly held in place. All right, so when you put this in, take your time. Just kind of wiggle it back and forth because it is a tight fit. And then, of course, when you get to your threads, we can just go the rest of the way. Now, all of these also do have a twist on except for Kenan's, because I just did the config for that today. Being as that was my own chassis, the config was a little bit different. But you've got twist on. All your LEDs in there are firing up. This particular Saber, by the way, has the shadow foil props PCB in there. So you can see it now. We fire it up. Auxiliary back here. And we'll throw a blade in. So like I said, this is a very tight blade socket. If you have a brand new blade, you probably do some sanding. All right. So tight. In fact, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to turn this on while I put the blade in. That way I know when I hit those pins. Just take our time, push it in there nice and easy. Just like that. So now we've hit those pins, right? Now when there's Sabers on and you want that crystal reveal, and you can just come over here and pop that panel down. Slide it down, and then you've got your crystal reveal right there. So you can see your crystal spinning or your plasma gate spinning. Right? And when we're done, you can just take one finger, slide it back into place, and then line it up with all the others. Now, if you had more than one sound font on here, you would just hit auxiliary. So that would go to the next one, but of course, these all have one font. All right, so again, you do get a little bit of tiny shine through there. A little bit here as well. Very solid. We'll turn it off. We'll take our blade. Let's take our blade out. And then we'll go turn it off by just opening it back up. Well, let me show you here first that you see you have shine through in that slit right there. That's why I chose to put it on that side. I thought that was cooler than opening it up and seeing the OLED screen, which is what I did on my prototype. I put it on the side where it had the OLED screen. All right, so we take our handle off, come over here and turn it on. And come over here and we just flip our switch down, and it kills everything. All right, so this Saber is working exactly like it should. This one belongs to you, Jorge. Hopefully you like the way it came out. I will get it packaged up tomorrow, but like I said, I will not send it out until I get those M3 by 10 millimeter screws and I put one in your box. All right, so this one belongs to Jorge. Let's move to the next one. This one right here, next in line, this one belongs to Kenan. So Kenan, yours is set up exactly the same, right? Try to do the same type of theme of weathering. A little bit of blaster damage up near the emitter. Not too much though, just enough to say it was used, right? Smoky lenses, 2-button setup, so power and auxiliary. Heat stain, all the same type of heat stain, same quartz crystal, everything like that. All right. Only difference is you've got, well, two differences. You've got my Eco chassis, and then you've got a Smuggler's Outpost Dark Side. All right, so again, we'll just open this guy up. Even though this is my Eco chassis, right? It is an Eco chassis, definitely compared to what Carlos did. I still tried to make it look nice. All right, so you've got an OLED screen over here that will fire up here in a second. You've got a secondary crystal chamber up here that has a real quartz crystal. It's actually the same type of crystal that's up here. So you've got that right there too. You also have a 10 pixel accent strip right here. I got your chassis printed in MDF. So it says SP Sabers and Solo Sabers. And then when you look at it over here, the camera will pick up on it. It may not. It says Raxus Starkiller. All right, so your 28 millimeter dark side speaker. Let me get that off your speaker real quick. Sorry. Fully enclosed, so it should sound really good. You have a kill switch right in front of your board. Your board is not glued down, so if you decide to pop it up, I didn't know if you had a 90-degree data cable, but if you decide to pop it up and do some font changes, when you put it back down, please put some E6000 on the sides of the board. All right, because it's a pretty tight snap fit for now, but I can see this material over time wearing down. All right, so just do that. Yours takes an 18650. Since we didn't have some of the other things that were going on in the other chassis, I made sure to put an 18650 battery in this one. All right, so we'll come over here, throw our battery in with our spring side being the negative, right? Flipping this kill switch.
Why is this happening to me?
So you've got my personalized scroll on the OLED screen, and this just has the kit feature over here when it's on, or I'm sorry, when the Saber's off. A little pulsing right here, and this is a heartbeat. So I did a little something different on each. They are timed though, so they'll go off eventually. But if we turn this on, this goes to a fast scroll. I didn't want them both solid because I thought that was kind of boring. So I made this one go solid, and of course this one blinks on and off. All right, and then you've got a dual crystal animation here on your OLED screen when your Saber's on. And you also have twist off. So we'll just go ahead and throw the handle on this guy. Screw it all the way down. You have on this Saber also Shadow Foil Props lit PCB. These things are very bright and I love them. Very cool. This is your sound file. I was playing around with this, very cool. You got that shine through there in your cutout. And then YouTube, if you want to look at your crystal chamber, because you also have one, you could pop your window down a little bit. And you can, if my camera will focus, and then you can still get a view of your crystal. And then when you're done, you can just slide it back up into place. Twist off. No twist on this one. I have twist on all of the other ones because on all these taco chassis, because I wired them up before I had the actual Saber. I didn't have switches and I needed a way to turn them on and see that they worked. This one I actually wired up from scratch today, so that's why it doesn't have twist on. But we'll go ahead and put a 7/8 inch blade in this, and I'll turn this on again. So I know when I hit those pins, just trying to go nice and slow so I don't mash on those pins. Just like that. All right, so we can come over here and hit power. Blaster bolts on all of them will be tapping auxiliary. Blade lockup will be holding auxiliary down and hitting the Saber. Right here, right until you go vertical, and then it starts coming closer to the emitter. And then I took a track from Kyberphonics Secret Apprentice and put it on here. So one thing I forgot to show on the other one, because they all do have soundtracks. If you want to play that, it's a long press on the power. And another long press to turn it off. Just like that. All right, so we'll go ahead and take the blade out of here too. Yes, the blade socket is a little tight, so there will be some sanding involved if you guys have brand new 7/8 inch blades. All right. The blade diameter, or the blade socket diameter, was right on point, and then I think after this anodizing or whatever they put on here, it made it just a little tight, but a little bit of sanding should be fine. All right, then we'll hit power. And you can also, from right here, just turn it off. Good to go there. And then when you want to take your battery out from the positive side by your speaker, you can pop it out just like that. And that is your Raxus, man. So again, I'll have this all boxed up and waiting for the screws to come in. Screw this down and put this off to the side. That was Kenan's. let's go over this next one. So this next one is Shark in the Jars. All right, so same type of weathering, right? Battle damage. The battle damage on the emitters are all going to be a little bit different, but I do like putting it on there because I think it adds a nice touch. I try not to do a straight X or anything like that. I try to make it look like, you know, it was actually nicked. I just think it adds a nice touch. So same button setup. Crystal chamber. Your chamber piece, of course, is clean, right? Which I think adds a really nice contrast to the heat stain. You're one of the few people. You're probably one of 5 people that had me leave it clean, which I thought was really nice because it was just a change of pace also. But it looks really nice. Same type of heat staining though on here, and then over to here. So you guys, this piece does come off if you like. I mean, there's no reason to ever take it off, but know that it does unscrew from the handle. All right. Again, to get to your chassis is very tight. I had to open this up on the lathe. This is the one I was talking about at the beginning of the video. So I had to open up this handle on my lathe. When you're taking it off, be gentle, wiggle it back and forth. You can't see it very well now, but you'll be able to see it. I got a little, like, I was very careful to take off some of the inner diameter of the handle, but I didn't want to touch the threads, and that was very hard to do because it was right there, almost there, but I got it. I think we did a good job, and everything's good to go. So that's what we got there. Now, your battery cover also is something that I had to hog off the most material off of your battery cover than anyone else's. And I'm not sure what happened there at Shapeways. But I did try to go back through and buff it up and polish it back up so it didn't look too much out of place. But when you get this in person and you look at it closely, you're going to notice, yeah, I had to do some sanding, all right, because it just would not fit. When you put this on here, these two edges were flaring out a little bit. It wouldn't let the handle go past. And for some reason, these little pipe pieces on the outside of the cover, they were too big. And then also the holes for the magnets, they didn't fit the magnets. But this battery cover is a nice, tight, just press fit onto here. So I didn't put the magnets on. I didn't drill those out for the magnets because if I were to do that, I would have gone through the material due to the fact that I had to take so much material off. All right, so hopefully that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, reach out to me privately. We can talk about it. It's no biggie. All right, but this is your chassis. So the same as Jorge's really, but just nice and shiny, polished brass. OLED screen. This is your board cover. So you'll probably be doing your own thing, but when you pop this off, you know, once again, please excuse the wires that you can see, but I wanted to put that 3 LED strip on top of your board so you had a little bit of visual effect when the when the cover's on. But again, with a 90-degree data cable, you can get in there and you can reach everything. You do not have to move the board, and you can in fact you cannot move the board because it is glued. All right, so we'll put that down. Clip this on. It is this also too is a bit of a press fit because the chassis was very tight for this guy, but I did get it on no problem. And then of course you've got a Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker, fully enclosed, and your kill switch. So we'll flip your kill switch. Oops, that's upside down. So it's got my scroll on there. Different types of blinkies for your crystals when everything is off, and then if we hit power, of course you've got your rotating plasma gate. You've got the same kind of broken circuitry over here, and then your crystal went to solid. It reacts to auxiliary, and then you've got twist off, and you've also got twist on this guy. So when putting your handle on, be very gentle, work it on there. Super tight fit. All right, but everything does fit. It's just very, very tight. Go ahead and tighten it all the way down. You have also shadow foil props lit PCB in there. A little bit hard to see. There you go. Till we hit power. Beefy. Okay, shine through right here. Slide your panel down. Get a little crystal chamber reveal with your spinning plasma gate there. And then just slide it back into place when you're done. It's easier when you're looking at it, but auxiliary back here. We'll put a blade in yours too. Well, actually, I'll turn it on. 7/8 inch blade. I am taking my time putting this in. I get nervous. I don't want to go mashing on the pins. There we go. All right. You could swing the crap out of this. Any of them, you know. We'll play your soundtrack. And turn it off. Just like that, we'll take the blade out. So you also, I mean everybody does, but you have a copy of the config file on your SD card. As a tight fit. You have a copy of the config file on your SD card so you can see what I did there. All right. And we'll just take this off. Turn it on when the handle's off, and we'll kill it with the kill switch to show you that that's working like it should. All right. So our kill switch right here. And we're dead just like we should be. All right. So that is basically your Raxus right there. Let me know if you have any questions, and again, we'll leave this boxed up. Anytime I order from McMaster-Carr, I get it pretty quickly. So it's what, Tuesday today? If it took by Friday to get here, I'd be surprised. All right, so and then as soon as those get here, it's just as easy as throwing them in the box and shipping these out. All right, so hopefully you like the way that came out. Well, we're going to move on to the next one. No idea whose this is because both of these look identical. They look identical also to Jorge's, right? So this is where it gets handy to look on the battery. But again, just to show the weathering, if it won't focus on the Saber and not my face, a little bit of battle scars on the emitter here, heat staining. All right, take the handle off here. Again, be nice and gentle when you're taking these off because like I said, every one of these battery covers needed to be hogged down. All right, so I'll take this off. This one belongs to Cole. So Cole, this is yours. We'll put this back on. Yours is set up the exact same way. All right. So you've got that crystal in there. Your crystal is clear because that came with the kit, I think. Any of the crystals that I printed in-house were red, I think. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and check. I may have printed some clear ones, but that's a 3D printed, or it's a resin printed crystal so that it fit, perfect in that holder that Carlos made. And that's a crystal that Carlos designed as well. Actually, now that I'm looking at that resin, I think I printed that in-house. All right. Fully enclosed Elite speaker, so 28mm Smuggler's Outpost Elite. You have, this one has a Carl Chen V4 in it. This is typically what I would use on any of the Sabers that I've installed for you in the past since they've come out because I just really enjoy them. Both of these PCBs, you can't go wrong. I used them totally at random. I think I was using the Carl Chens for a while and I ran out. And then I started using the shadow foil props in these. I was just using the Carl Chins first, really because the pins are pre-soldered. The shadow foil props ones are great, but I have to solder the pins in, and you know, I was trying to like get with it. So yeah, that's what we've got there. Your kill switch. So your OLED's over here working like it should. You've got a pulsing for your main crystal and your secondary crystal chamber. Now when we turn that on, I gave this one a heartbeat because I thought that looked pretty cool. It's your rotating plasma gate and then your broken circuitry effect down here. And your LEDs in here are firing up really well. So we'll do a little spin off there. Put our handle on. Just be nice and gentle with it. And then once you get to the threads, you're good to go. But just getting over the battery cover and the board cover. This is a tight space. I know I keep on saying it. I'm just trying to reiterate it. All right, so we'll get our handle on all the way. Hit power. Shine through right there. You can actually see your rotating crystal in there, which is pretty cool. You slide your panel down. Slide that back up. Just like that. Throw a blade in this guy. Oops. So again. I bet you're wondering what happened to the blade. I'm going to be honest, one of the switches went out and I had to go fix it. So I cut that part out of the demo. I had to go over there and fix your switch. So everything is good on this guy. We'll take the handle off. If you're not careful, this was probably, I think this was the first one I installed. So after installing them, you know, I kind of was getting the swing of it. But if you're not careful, you can pinch the wire in between the inner core and one of the flathead screws that holds the control box on from the underside of the shroud. And I had pinched the power wire for your power, basically, right? So had to go back and replace that, but everything is good to go now. Turn this on, flip it from our kill switch, and everything is dead. All right, so Cole, that is your Raxus. Let me know if you have any questions, and yeah, I'll box this up. And again, wait for that M3 screw to come in the mail. So we'll put this back over here with the rest, and we'll go through the last one. This one has to be Jeff's. All right, so Jeff, last but not least, a little bit of battle damage on the emitter, all the weathering and heat staining. You have this has a Shadow Foil Props lit PCB in it. All right, so heat staining there in your crystal chamber area. Take off the handle here. You have a red crystal. These red crystals are something that I printed in-house as well. All right, so red crystal here for your secondary chamber, spinning plasma gate, battery cover, so 18350 underneath this guy. Your board cover with OLED screen, so again we can flip this up. And you'll see you have 3-pixel accent strip that's wired to your main blade pad. So this is going to mimic your main blade. All right. Go ahead and throw that on there. Flip our kill. Well, you have an elite speaker, so 28mm elite. We'll flip our kill switch. Get your OLED working. Your 2 crystal chambers. So power in the front, auxiliary in the back. And then twist off. All right, we'll put our handle on. You got twist on this guy too, but I know I sent you and Jorge both the config file that I used to set all these up, so I imagine you'll be swapping this to what you like, right? And we'll tighten this up. A little bit of shine through there on your slit. Crystal chamber reveal. Slide that back up into place. We'll throw a blade in 7/8. There we go. Twist on. Auxiliary. Blade lock up. Soundtrack also. Right. Turn it off. And take the blade out. So twist this up. Take our handle off real quick. These handles were greased up pretty well on the threads, but I've been putting them on and off quite a bit, testing them. I'll probably give them a little bit of lithium grease before I send them out. But if we come over here and hit power, our kill switch right here, boom. All right, and that is your Raxus. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope that you like how this came out too. So all you guys, thank you very much for your patience. I know this has been quite the journey. I'm not used to doing things over a 6-month period. It's a little bit of a new process for me, but I think it all turned out great. And just let me know if you have any questions, but thanks for watching. I know this was a long one as well. All right, take care.